Some days you don't start in the kitchen. You just step outside for a minute and let things get a little out of hand.
2, 1.
That's when we realized some of the best potato chips don't start in the kitchen. They start with a little backyard chaos. So now we're going to show you how to turn these potatoes into the crispiest potato chips you've ever had. Stick with us. I'm going to show you how. Although a potato cannon is not going to make your potato chips for you, we're about to show you exactly how we make potato chips at home and how I've been doing it for over 20 years now. We've had a ton of fun playing with that potato cannon, but now it's time to get serious and hop into the kitchen here. So we're gonna talk potato chips today. I'm gonna do the rest of the work here solo because we're about to use a fryer, making the best and most crispy product that you can get while being able to season them however you want. If you look into culinary history, you're going to find fried potatoes in almost every region of the world. There are different varying opinions on when they started and how they started, whether it was a chef that may have gotten a little bit disgruntled with a difficult customer where he slices potatoes as thin as possible and fried them till crispy, or whether you dig into other parts of the world, you will find potato chips or crisps all over the place. So today we're going to show you how to make a thin, classic, crispy, well-seasoned potato chip. And if you stick with us until the end, we're going to give you 4 skills that are going to level up your kitchen game and make you the star of the show when you put a big handful of these potato chips next to a smash burger at your next cookout. We're going to show you how to pick the right potato for frying because the actual variety of potato matters. We're going to show you how to slice them perfectly to get a thin chip or a kettle chip. We're going to show you how to build the perfect structure for the crispiest outcome using the technique of blanching. And we're going to show you how to fry these until they're golden and crispy and well seasoned. I'm going to wash my hands. I'm going to get in the kitchen, get my fryer set up, and I'll meet you there. All right, now that I'm in the kitchen, the first step to the perfect potato chip is picking the right potato. This is a little bit daunting because there are 4,000 varieties of potatoes. Yes, 4,000. Not making this up. I'm in the United States, and there are certain potatoes that grow in different regions of the world that I can't get a hold of. We're going to keep this very, very simple, and we're going to pick a russet potato. This is the classic potato that you'll see in most of your grocery stores that you'll make a baked potato out of. A lot of us had moms and dads and grandmas that would make mashed potatoes out of this with varying degrees of success. I'm choosing a russet today because of its starch and sugar content. These matter greatly when we fry. We need a starchy potato to build the structure that will eventually turn very, very crispy. We need a low sugar content so that way it does not burn or get very, very dark. When we're cooking a potato, we are actually caramelizing the sugars inside of the potato itself. And if it has a higher sugar content, it will be a darker chip. Russets also typically have a lower water content. When we're frying, the enemy of a good crispy chip is water. If we have too much water, we will get a soggy chip, or at the very least, a chip that goes stale pretty quickly and has a bit more chew and a little less crunch. The russet has a lower water content, so we have to do less work in the frying step, and that is what we want. Now that we have the perfect potato picked, we are going to show you now how to slice them perfectly so that way you get the most consistent chip every single time. Now, we are going to use a piece of equipment called a mandolin. If you're not familiar with a mandolin, we have a perfect episode for you that we'll link in the description showing you exactly how this piece of equipment works. We're going to set this mandolin pretty thin. We're going to make sure that our potatoes are washed thoroughly. We'll make sure that all of the dirt is off of the outside. Any extra blemishes, you can rinse them off, maybe scrub them just a little bit with a clean sponge or towel. Before we get started on slicing our potatoes, we're going to get a bowl ready with some cold water. This is going to be our landing zone for our potatoes, so that way they don't oxidize as we're moving through the slicing process. Then we're going to take one of the ends off. We want a flat surface to start our mandolin slicing. This is going to make sure that you stay safe, that there's no extra chance of you slipping, because this mandolin blade, like we've described before, is very, very sharp. And this piece of equipment can be kind of scary to anyone that hasn't used them before. Now, we're going to test a couple of slices just to make sure we're where we need to be. I'm not going to get out a pair of calipers to show you exactly the 1/16 of an inch thinness that we need. We're not going to get super into the weeds or super nerdy with that. Now, we're going to show you here We're gonna slice a couple of times. What we're looking for here is a very, very thin slice, not too thin, but we want it to be almost translucent. We wanna be able to see our finger pad through the slice itself. Now, this is where we're going to make the differentiation between a classic potato chip or crisp and a kettle chip. A kettle chip is the same thing, just a little bit thicker. Here you can see the difference between what I would consider a kettle chip and a classic potato chip. Go ahead and use whichever thickness you want. Our recipe is going to be in the description below for a classic potato chip. However, if you're using the kettle chip, just know that you're gonna blanch and fry yours a little bit further. And we'll get to those steps here in just a moment. As we're slicing these potatoes, we've got the perfect thickness chosen. We're going to be dumping them into that cold water that we had set up earlier. Now we're gonna show you how to blanch your potatoes properly. Derek, this seems like an extra step. Here's the thing, it kind of is. If you wanted to, you could take your chips from here, dry them off, and dump them directly into your fryer, as long as it's set up properly, and you can cook them. You'll find all sorts of videos online, including some that I've watched and of people that I trust that go straight from a raw potato into the fryer. No judgment there. It is a perfectly acceptable step. However, I've made chips hundreds of times in my 20 plus years in the kitchen, and I've found every time that I blanch my potatoes, I get a much more consistent and better potato chip. We're gonna get a pot of water on the boil. We're gonna add a good amount of salt. This is a chance that we get to season the potato chip inside, not just on the outside. We're also gonna add one more ingredient. We're gonna add a little bit of white distilled vinegar. Now, this is not to add flavor. This is not to make a salt and vinegar potato chip, although you probably could if you added way more than we're doing here. This is actually a science-based step that's going to help you get a really good crisp on your chip. The salt is adding the seasoning. The vinegar is actually helping the starch gelatinize. So it's gonna become sticky. It's gonna open up the starch molecules. And as that happens, when we go to fry, that gelatin, that starch, and the pectin that's opened up inside of that potato chip, that's gonna create a nice hard texture that will give you a good snap, give you a good crunch, give you that good crispy texture that you want in a potato chip, that makes you wanna come back for 5, 6, 7 more handfuls. Yeah, I know, sometimes I don't have self-control with these things. It's okay. So once the salt and that little bit of vinegar have been added to the water, we're gonna bring that water up to the boil. We're going to go drain our potatoes that have been sitting in that cold water after the slicing. We're gonna take those drained potatoes and we're going to just gently slide them in and give them a blanch. Now, if you don't know what blanching is, we have a video for you. We'll link in the description below. Once those potatoes are in, we're gonna give them just a couple of minutes. What we're looking for here is the potato to become almost fully translucent, and the potato itself will also become flexible. That starch, as it opens up and gelatinizes, will become much more flexible and less rigid. Depending upon if you're making kettle chips, if you go from raw, again, and without this blanching step, you do run the risk of making a very, very dark potato chip. Not the end of the world. Again, some people like that more than others. Not me personally. I like a really nice, light, cold and crispy potato chip, and that's why I do this step. Once those have been in that blanching water for just a couple of minutes, we're going to strain them off. Once those potatoes have been drained, we're going to lay them out on some either paper towel or a kitchen towel, depending upon what you'd like, and we're gonna pat them dry. Oil and water do not like to mix, and when we're going to fry in the next step, we want our potatoes to be as dry as possible. We don't want them dripping wet because that will cause a bunch of splatter and spitting, and that can lead to being unsafe, getting yourself burned a little bit, or causing a big mess in the kitchen. Dry them off thoroughly, so that way we can move to our next step, frying these chips perfectly. Now we have a video for you showing you how to set up a Dutch oven fryer just like we have here. We'll link that at the end of the episode, so that way once this is done, you can hop over there and watch that episode through. We're gonna bring our oil up to about 325 degrees. What we're going to actually be doing here is frying our potato chips at 300, which is much lower than we would normally do for, say, our fried chicken. But we're taking this oil up to 325 because when we add the potatoes here next, that fryer oil temperature is actually going to drop, and we don't want it to drop too far. If we go too far, then we run the risk of making a soggy, greasy, and oily potato. So we're going to pad that temperature up to about 325, and then we're going to maintain everything at 300. We're going to take a handful or two of the blanched potatoes, and we're going to gently lower them into the fryer oil. We're going to stir these around to make sure that everything starts to crisp up. Depending upon how thick you cut your potatoes, this can take anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes. What you're looking for now is for the bubbling to almost entirely cease. You'll see the color on the potato chips has gone from pale raw to a nice golden. These are the visual indications. These are the audible indications that you are ready to pull these chips out. We're going to scoop them out with a spider, and we're going to shake off some of that excess oil. We're going to dump them into a mixing bowl, and we're going to season them properly. Now, I know that we had some salt in the water originally, so we've got some seasoning to start, but a good potato chip should be highly seasoned. So we're going to use some kosher salt here, and we're going to give this a bit of a toss in the bowl. A little bit of that oil is left over from the frying. The potatoes are still warm and releasing just a little bit more moisture, and that's what's going to help the salt stick. If you wait too long, the salt's just going to fall completely off, just like with our chicken cutlets or our fried chicken in the episodes that we've shown you before. We need to do this immediately after pulling this out of the fryer. Once we've given that a toss, we've seasoned that as much as we want, we're going to dump them out gently onto a landing zone. This is an important step too, because we want these to cool properly. If they just sit in a pile together, they're going to steam on top of each other, and all of the work we've done to get them crispy is going to be undone in this process. We're going to repeat this process until all of our potatoes are cooked and all of our potato chips are ready to go. And there you have it. You have perfectly golden, perfectly crispy, well-seasoned, addictive potato chips that started with a little bit of chaos outside, but with control and with know-how, now you can make these potato chips at home perfectly every single time you want them. Thank you so much for sticking around. I hope that you had as much fun as we did. We loved building a potato cannon, having some backyard chaos, making potato chips here at home, and now we're gonna go enjoy them with our smash burgers. So, till the next one, we'll see you. Bye. Yep, you're good.
Ready, set, go!